I'm getting a lot of calls from business owners, VPs of sales, sales leaders right now who are saying to me, Troy, I know something's wrong. I just don't know what it is. And I'll tell you what's going on. Sales has changed. I've talked about that a lot, but what's really happened from a sales management perspective is that our ratios have changed. What do I mean by our ratios? I mean this. Every activity in sales leads to the next activity in what used to be a fairly predictable fashion. And we knew our ratios. By the way, if you don't know your ratios, this video is going to emphasize the importance of that. But X amount of prospecting calls leads to Y amount of appointments. That Y amount of appointments leads to Z amount of presentations. That Z amount of presentations leads to A number of proposals. That A number of proposals leads to B number of sales. That's a fairly predictable set of ratios if you track your ratios. You need to know your numbers. What's happening right now is that our ratios have changed. For instance, it used to be that when I was doing cold calling, about 1 out of every 3 people that I called on the telephone, they'd pick up the phone, they'd answer, and they'd talk to me. Now that ratio is more like 1 out of 10. So if you're still building your prospecting metrics around those old ratios, you've got a big problem. And the ratios have changed all the way down the sales funnel because people are more suspicious of salespeople in their sales messages, and they have the opportunity to gain a lot of their knowledge and research in an independent fashion. So, as a sales leader, what do you need to do? Well, first of all, you need to know your ratios. Sometimes that means you need to go back and do a little historical forensical accounting and figure out from the past, what were your ratios from point A to point B? What were your closing ratios from proposal to sale, and work it all the way back up the funnel? And then track your ratios now and see what's changed. Once you figure out what's changed, now you've got something to troubleshoot. It could be that it's a change on the part of your salespeople. Maybe your salespeople aren't presenting in the same fashion that they used to be, or maybe they're not prospecting as well as they should be. Now, I'm not saying everything is due to the changes in sales. Some of it could be due to changes in your salespeople's activity, but if you don't know your ratios, you're helpless in this. So if you don't have your ratios, start tracking them. Start figuring out how much of each activity at critical junctures in the sales funnel that your salespeople are performing, and that way you can figure out what your ratios are. Look, I've said it before. Sales management is a simple equation. Quantity of activity times quality of activity equals results. Now, what those numbers actually look like, that depends on you, but what it really means is the more your salespeople do of it and the better they are at it, the better their results are going to be. I know. A lot of sales managers sit there and go, Troy, I don't want to be a bean counter. Well, too bad, because part of sales management is counting the beans, because if you don't, you're leaving half of that equation as a complete unknown. Know your numbers, know your ratios. If I can help, get a hold of me. I'll be happy to help. But know your numbers, know your ratios, and that way when things do change in your sales achievement, you don't just have to sit there and scream at your salespeople, hey, you're not working hard enough, get me more results. You can actually drill down, figure out why, and really help them solve the problem. Know your ratios. I'm Troy Harrison, the Sales Navigator. And if this video has been helpful to you at all, you know what to do. Like it, share it, subscribe to my channel, throw me a comment. I'll see you next time. If you are an owner or manager of a company, scan the QR code for your free sales strategy review.